So, did you ever want to switch between multiple UI themes in your Godot games? For example, to go between a light and a dark atmosphere as an extra accessibility option for your players, or perhaps even to show different elements depending on the current theme? This is actually something I did in Locktail, the puzzle game about ciphers I'm currently developing. The entire game can be played in light or dark mode, but in addition to this global UI theming, there are a few levels where different hints will be revealed depending on the theme you've got active. By the way, remember that if you want to help support the project by adding it to your wishlist, or you want to try out the free demo, you can have a look at the Steam page over here. Okay, but so how can we implement this theme switching mechanic in Godot? Well, the first step is obviously to have at least two themes to switch between. I've talked a bit about the basics and advantages of Godot UI themes in this previous short tutorial I made, but let's quickly go over how to create one for our demo. A UI theme is a type of Godot resource that you can create directly from your project file browser, and that can be edited from the theme panel at the bottom of the editor. In here, you'll get previews of the most usual elements on the left, with your custom theme settings applied, and this zone on the right is where you'll actually define said custom options. So, for example, suppose you want to make a light theme first for your game. Then you'll probably want to ensure that all labels and buttons have a dark font color, and that panels have a light background, or something along those lines. So if we're talking about the labels, to actually create custom settings in your theme for labels, you'll need to click on the plus button over here to pick the UI node type to customize, so here, label. Then you see that we have all these tabs that give us access to all the properties of a label, and we can override any property we want just by clicking on the plus icon alongside it. And of course, as we mentioned before, all of our overrides are instantly visible in the preview zone on the left, so typically here we can enforce the color of our labels with this theme to be a dark bluish grey, and we see the result over here. Though for everything font related, it's interesting to note that if you double-click on your theme resource to open up its inspector, you can actually set the theme's base font and base font size globally, so that it's shared between all the components in your theme that use text. Okay, so now let's have a look at how to customize a more complex element, like a button. Indeed, contrary to a simple label, a button has different states. It can be in its default normal state, or hovered when you put your mouse over it, or pressed when you actually click, and so on. To handle all of this, you'll notice that Godot gives us a bunch of font and icon colors, one for each state, plus in this tab we can define the background styles of the button in each state. For example, for light theme we could make contrasting buttons with a dark background and a light text, so to do that we can first leave the default light text color in the first tab, but then in the Styles tab we'll click on the plus icon of the normal style to enable its override, and create a new Style Box Flat resource inside this slot. We can click on this box style to configure it in the inspector on the right, say with a dark fill color, some rounded corners, and a bit of spacing with some margins. Again, you can see the result in the previews on the left. Of course, you'll then want to do something similar for the other states of the button, otherwise as soon as you put your mouse on the button, it will revert to a default style that probably doesn't work very well with your custom one. But so once you've properly customized your elements, all that's left to do to use this custom theme in a scene is to apply it to the root node of your UI, and it will be automatically inherited by all the nodes in the hierarchy below. Oh, just note that if you're using canvas layers, then you'll need to apply the theme to the root of every canvas layer hierarchy. Okay, this is great, but it's obviously just the first step. Right now, when we run our game, we have this nice light theme enabled, but that's about it. There is no way to switch to another theme. So let's now assume that you have prepared a second theme, typically in our case, a dark theme. So it has other customizations of our various elements. It could look something like this, and so we've got our light theme that looks like this on our scene, and our dark theme that looks like this on the same scene. Also, you see that I've added this button in the bottom right corner to switch between themes. It's called theme switch, and I've marked it as accessible by its unique name to make it easier to reference from our logic. In this tutorial, the theme switching will be handled in the script on the root of our scene, so this node over here. But of course, in a real game, you might want to extract it to more of a global object, like an autoload, so that you can switch themes from anywhere in your game. Again, in Loctel, I made theme switching more global because I wanted to allow players to change theme at will from the various settings menu, but also from inside some specific levels to show or hide different hints. Alright, so how exactly can we switch between our light and dark themes inside the script? Well, we can actually do a first version that is very basic with the following logic. To begin with, we have a variable to store the reference of the theme that is currently active. This way we'll know which theme we need to switch to when we click our button. We can initialize this reference in the ready function by checking for the name of the theme resource currently assigned to our root node, which is the node this script is attached to, so we can get the theme resource just by getting the theme property, which exists for any control-derived node type. Then, still in the ready function, we'll make sure to connect the pressed signal of our theme switch button to our switch theme callback method. Of course, you could totally link this callback function from the editor too, if you prefer. Finally, the switch theme function can start very simple. As you can see here, all we do for now is load the right theme Godot resource, depending on the theme that is currently active and that we kept a reference to. So if we're currently in light mode, we want to switch to dark mode, and vice versa, and then we can use this new theme reference to get the matching resource in our project and assign it to our root node. And that's it! If we run our scene, you see that when I click the theme switch button, the whole UI instantly changes to toggle between the light and the dark themes, and all of our custom settings are properly set on the whole hierarchy. Okay, so now you know that actually switching themes is quite easy. But there is another little trick I want to show you, and that's how to show or hide elements depending on the active theme. This is not pure UI theming per se, but I feel like it's a pretty cool feature that could work in a lot of games, puzzle or not. So to do this in Loctel, my process was the following. First of all, I selected the items, or the hierarchies, I wanted to show only for the light theme, and in the group panel, I assigned those elements to a group called light elements. Then I did the same for the items to show only for the dark theme, they're assigned to a group called dark elements. What's cool with this method is that it makes it super easy to define elements for either theme, and your script doesn't need any specific references to those items, everything will be abstracted away by the node groups. Okay, so next up in the script, we can add a new function to check for the elements to show or hide based on the active theme. It will contain two basic loops on the nodes of both groups to set the visible property depending on the current theme. In other words, all nodes in the light elements group are visible if the theme reference is light, and all nodes in the dark elements group are visible if the theme reference is dark. Finally, we just need to call this function in the ready hook so that our scene is initialized as expected, and then in the switch theme method to update those visuals whenever we click on our theme switch button. And here we go! If we try our demo again, you see that now when we click on our button, some elements appear or disappear accordingly, which can be a great way to hide additional clues and bring a bit of meta-investigating to your game. As a final improvement, let's quickly discuss how to make our theme switch a bit smoother, instead of having it just jump instantly from one mode to the other. So first off, we'll change the scene a bit, so that instead of using a panel container for the background, which instantly changes color when we click the button, we use a more basic element, like a color rect. So this is a simple solid color UI element. We can easily set its color property to have it go from light to dark, but of course we want to do this in our script. So in the script, when we check for theme elements, we can actually use a tween to have our color rect smoothly fade between the light background color and the dark background color, or vice versa, depending on the theme switching we're doing. If you're not too familiar with tweens, I made a tutorial specifically on that topic that you can check out over here. In short, they're a super light and easy to use Godot built-in to animate properties on your nodes, and so in our case, we could tween our background node's color property to our new theme's background color. And the really cool thing is that rather than manually defining those background colors in a dictionary, for example, and having to maintain this list ourselves, we can instead directly access the fill color of our panel container's style box in our newly assigned theme and use that for our tween. So basically, we've got our theme assigned at this point, and so this built-in gets us the value of the panel override for the panel container overridden UI element type in our theme resource, and finally we just get its BG color, so background color property. However, note that since we'll want to also initialize our background's color properly when the scene starts, it could be nice to improve our checkThemeElements function to receive a useTween boolean parameter. So if this parameter is on, then we want a smooth transition, like we've just implemented, else we'll just set the node's color directly to get an instant change, which is perfect for setup phase. So we'll make sure that we call our check function with a false parameter from the ready function to not use a tween and have an instant initialization, but then we'll call it with a true parameter from the switch theme method to get a nice animation. And here's what this looks like. Our background now initializes as expected to match the rest of our theme, but when we click our button, it smoothly fades to the background color from the new theme. So there you go. You now know how to create UI theme resources in Godot, assign them in the editor, and then switch between multiple ones at will at runtime. You can even hide or show elements based on the current active theme and smooth out your switch transitions a bit, thanks to some tweens. Although, in Locktail, some levels also go a bit beyond that, and they use other visual effects on top of the theme switching, like spotlights or blurs, to bring the meta hints one step further. So what do you think? Would you be interested in learning how to do that too? Go ahead and tell me down in the comments. In the meantime, I really hope you liked this tutorial. Be sure to react in the comments and subscribe to the channel to get more videos, and of course, a huge thank you to my Patreon members for the support and to you for watching. And as always, take care.